Hello, I'm Chrissy Seaton. Have you ever dealt with someone or a group of people who are constantly aggravating to you and those around you? For instance, they force their opinions and their beliefs upon you. They almost cross the line into your sacred space, so to speak. And when these aggravators, as I call them, do it maybe once or twice, you can live with that and just dismiss it. But sometimes these people are repeat offenders. I'm sure you've all come across someone like this. They happen in the schools, they happen in the workplace, they pop up all through your community and, generally speaking, throughout society. And I know you can probably think of one or two people right now that this has happened to you with. So we do get to a point in time with these sort of individuals and their associated behaviours where we sort of say to ourselves, look, enough is enough. I've had enough of this. I've got to do something about it. But of course then the question crops up, how do I deal with it? How do I manage it? How do I keep this person from crossing my line, so to speak? So what you actually have to do is that old saying, you need to draw a line in the sand. I'm going to share with you a little method that I've used on and off throughout life. It's helped me through a lot of things. And I've written some notes on my whiteboard, and I apologise for my lighting. Some things may be a little blurred, but I will go through them with you now in the hope that this may help you deal with some issues and people that I have experienced in my lifetime and how I've dealt with it. I'm just going to stand up over here now. You'll notice I've drawn the board into some columns here in different colours. So look, this first one here, it's written in green, so it is hard to see, but it's got a heading that says, "This is not affecting me or mine." So these are things that don't require you to respond to. You don't need to take any action. I'm just going to let it go. It's not impinging on my beliefs or my safety, for instance, or my family. So, you mightn't necessarily agree with it, but there's no need for you to really respond to that. Just let it go. Then we come into this blue column here, and I've put there wait and watch. It's like a parking lot, for want of a better word. So these are things that may occur once or maybe even twice, but let's say the first time, and you think to yourself, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm a bit uneasy, but maybe I've imagined it. So I say park that in the parking lot. Just leave that there. It may never ever happen again, in which case you'll forget about it. But it is there. If that same pattern develops again or same thing happens again, you may need to respond to that in some way. So that's the blue column. Then we come over to this red column here, and I've put a heading up saying no crossing. So this is the line in the sand. That is the line in the sand that you draw. And this is dealing with things that are at against or impinging on your principles, your beliefs, your core values, things that you hold dear to you, your personal integrity, for instance. And this is really about self-preservation, is how I have to protect the self over here, my self-value and my growth. So these things are what you need to take action about. So this is the line in the sand. Nobody or nothing crosses that line. Now, the reason I I say that this is about self-preservation. Coming back to the green and the blue columns, they are not issues you need to take on board. They're not personally coming into that area of your self-preservation. So they're the more minor things, the things you can let go, and the things that are in the car park for wait and watch. But when you get to this area, these are values that nobody crosses, not even your family members, and certainly not people in your community or your workspace or a group that you're in, what have you. Now, if you waste a lot of time on these things and these things, you will have no energy or spiritual resilience in which to go forward with addressing these things. So there are things you just have to let go of. But when it is about your self-preservation, your self-values, your core principles, your integrity, beliefs, this is the line that's drawn in the sand, and you have to do something about that. So that's the management plan. But how do you actually go about dealing with these red areas here? These are the warning flags. Well, a number of ways you can deal with it. Sometimes you don't have to agonise and end up in an argument or mixed feelings about things. I have found through experience, and I've had 68 years of experience by now, in my mind I just go, that's it, that's it. And you do need sometimes to just exit that group. Or, for instance, if you are working in a toxic workplace environment, the best thing to do is look for another job. And I know that's not always easy at times, but trust me, the toxic venom and things that are going to cross over into your sacred space are not worth the risk. So you need to remove yourself from that environment wherever possible. You may be in relationships, the same thing can happen. Now, I'm not a relationship advisor, so I'm not going to go into that. But there are times when you have to just pack up your little kit bag and walk away from it, be it work or a community, the school tuck shop, that can become a minefield of opinions and decisions, etc. There are things that you just have to remove yourself from because you deserve better than that, and the value of yourself is the most important thing. There are ways you can deal with other things, but that would depend on your experience in dealing with that, and secondly, is it worth responding to? Do I need to make a stand physically or verbally about this, or is it better for me just to silently withdraw? I know in particular sometimes Noahides do strike issues when it comes to other members of their families who may hold true to a different belief. They may be antagonistic at times, and that can be a really heart-wrenching situation to be in. But still, you have values. You have made decisions. These are things important to you that you hold dear. So you do have to say, look, I appreciate that you have a differing opinion to me, that you don't hold true to the values that I do or the beliefs, but I'm not encroaching or impeaching upon your belief system. Please grant me the same respect. And there's no need for a differing opinion to end up in an argument or loud screaming voices, what have you. But you do have to draw a line in the sand. Now, some people become very good at doing that and do it rather effortlessly. There are others who it takes them a while to actually do it for the first time. But you have to have a plan of how you deal with these situations. So just going over it briefly, in the green column we're going to have issues that really, that you just don't need to respond to it. You'll always have a few aggravating people around you at times that get on your nerves, but after a while of your non-response and non-engagement, they do get the subtle hint that you're really not that interested in what they're talking about. And it's not really something impeaching on your core values, although it's an annoyance. In the blue spot, the blue column, where you do have that one instance or two that you've come across with a person or a situation, you think, just park it. If it happens again, I'll deal with it. If not, so be it. But that red column is your line in the sand. That's where nobody crosses that line. And you have to be true to that through life. Otherwise, you're going to get so wound up in the green and the blue column that when it comes time to deal with what's happening or invading your sacred space, as I call it, you're going to be tired and worn out and not deal with it. It's a bit like, don't fight every battle, save your energy for that big occasion or that large battle that you have to deal with. But sadly, sometimes it does require physically removing yourself from a group or a situation, or you do actually have to have a conversation with someone and say, look, this is not going to continue anymore. It's impeaching on my values and my principles. I prefer you not to do it, and I'm removing myself, or what have you, whatever the situation. I'm not saying that this is the answer to every situation, but sometimes it's a good place to start. Firstly, it has to start with you. Is it bothering me or mine? Do I need to keep an eye on this in case it happens again? Or no, that's it, it's crossed the line. I have to deal with it. I hope this has been some help to you. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and remember the value of yourself and draw that line in the sand now. God bless.